You want to talk about a character? You want to talk about a character that was made to make a fucking Kenner toy? Then we'll talk about Grievous. It's like, oh, how many lightsabers can we give this fucking jackass?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to A Conversation with Colin. I'm Greg, and this is my roommate, Colin. Now, sometimes Colin says crazy stuff. So every Tuesday and Thursday, I reach into the random topic pile, pull the one out, toss it at him, and we talk it out for your amusement. If you like that, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and just come by and say hey someday. All right? Good. Colin, you ready? Today's topic of conversation is Star Wars Episode 7, submitted by iBenny6040. How excited for Episode 7 are you?
Oh my God. What an abomination this movie is going to be.
Oh my God, why is it an abomination?
Where do we even start with Star Wars, man?
I don't know, you
What
tell me.
a fucking shell of something that used to be good. Is like Star Wars is just dead. Who gives a flying fuck about Star Wars anymore?
Thousands, millions of people.
People that are not purists care about it.
Exactly. Who doesn't give a shit about Star Wars? The answer is all the fucking Star Wars nerds that lived in perpetuity for 20 years. Their childhoods frozen in time and carbonite, where they didn't have to worry about anything coming out and being cool again. Then the new.
There's nothing cool about Star Wars right now.
What about Darth Maul? Everybody likes Darth Maul.
Darth Maul's fun.
Yeah. And then you got Yoda jumping around fighting the Emperor. That was cool in Episode 3.
No.
Yeah?
No.
No.
Dude, Star Wars is a fucking disaster right now.
It's
Who gives a shit?
it's an entertainment property that it had a stunted growth. You know what I mean? It had the 3 movies, then it stunted. It made a few dumb nerd books that only Anthony read.
I read them.
Nerd. And then, nothing happened. And y'all wrote your fan fiction, you had your toys, and y'all made up backstories for Boba Fett. The guy did one goddamn thing in the movies. And you're like, oh, this guy's great. And so
Let me just stop you right here, Greg,
All right.
all right? One thing a lot of people don't know about me, I'm not sure even if you know the depth of this, is I was everyone's always like, Anthony's a huge Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah.
I was just as passionate about Star Wars when I was young.
But you found girls.
Well, I found girls, 1. And 2, I found the prequels, and the prequels were so offensive to me.
Yeah.
So offensive, especially as they went along to where Episode 3 was like fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
Episode 3 is the best one of the
no,
prequels.
no, no,
Of the
no.
prequels?
I think the first one is probably the best.
Fuck that. Now this is pod racing. All right, we'll free the one slave because we believe in justice. What?
They're all bad. But when I was just like, I'm not supporting this anymore, because remember I always tell people speak with your wallet, right? Speak with your dollar.
Right.
I'm speaking with my wallet. I have nothing to do with Star Wars anymore. It's over. Me and Star Wars have disconnected completely. I don't give a
Divorced. It's over.
and that's a shame because I was obsessed with Star Wars when I was a kid. I have every single Star Wars figure, every one of them, and vehicle from 1995 till 2002. Every one of them. So I have every book from when Timothy Zahn started writing these books, to Shadows of the Empire, all those things, all the way through the early 2000s, where I was still reading a lot of these books, the Han Solo trilogy and shit like that. And I loved Star Wars, and they've just ruined it. Now that Marvel has acquired, or Disney has acquired, Star Wars, and they're just gonna run this bitch into the ground. And I don't blame them. They paid $4 billion for this, but they are just gonna fucking take this thing and just destroy it even more.
Don't you think what you're saying right now is incredibly closed-minded? You're not even giving them a chance with the ball.
Nope.
The guys who fucking fucked everything up are gone now. You know what I mean? Lucas isn't in control. They're not doing anything. New people coming on. You're not even going to give them a little bit of rope.
Nope.
Why not?
They got J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams says Nick's
Yeah, great. The guy who made Lost. We're really excited about that.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, J.J. Abrams is a totally capable producer, writer. I have no problem with that. My problem is that they're annualizing Star Wars. They're gonna have the offshoot movie one every other year, and then the canon movie I think every other year, starting with 7, 8, 9. And my major problem with this is that Star Wars, it's like Indiana Jones. We saw exactly what happens with Indiana Jones.
Another man-baby franchise frozen in carbonite that someone decided to do something with, and then it sucked. Yeah.
No, that's not true. Because what happened was the Indiana Jones trilogy was great. And the Last Crusade was 1989. They made the Young Indy movies, or the Young Indy show,
yeah.
which was fucking.
The books were good.
Which was
I read
awesome.
a book too. Yeah.
Awesome. And that to me is the expanded universe books that Timothy Zahn and those guys started to write. And then they should have been okay, that's it. No, we'll dig back into the past, pull fucking broke-ass Harrison Ford up into this movie, ruin Indiana Jones. I don't look at him as being this cool dude anymore. Now it's he's in this movie, and they're gonna do the same thing. Now they're not only gonna make these movies, but Han Solo's gonna be in it, and Luke and Leia. They've ruined Star Wars so badly with the prequels that it's not cool anymore. There's nothing cool about Star Wars anymore. I know everyone's the Clone Wars is really good. Who gives a shit about the Clone Wars? You know what I mean? What we had here was A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, an amazing trilogy of movies that told a concise story with an unknown backstory. It started with Episode 4. We didn't know what happened, and that was kind of cool. They were talking about the Clone Wars and Jedis of the past and things that have happened with Obi-Wan and Vader and all these things. It was kind of left unsaid. The expanded universe was kind of a window into what would have happened if the story had continued with Han Solo's children, for instance,
right.
Luke Skywalker kind of doing his thing at the Academy and all those kinds of things. But it was an optional thing. I feel like with the movies, it's like further shoving this shit down your throat. Now we have this bullshit backstory with Padme and Jar Jar Binks and Jango. Like I said on podcast, don't even get me fucking started on Jango Fett, Greg, because okay, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind.
I won't get you started. We can move on. We don't have to do it.
And now we're gonna have all this bullshit where like Luke Skywalker is gonna be fucking 90 years old. Like I really need to see Luke Skywalker after the second Death Star's exploded. That's the way it is. You celebrate on Endor. The Ewoks are there. It's over. The ghosts of the Jedi are there. That's it. Done.
Yeah, but not anymore.
Nope.
You're just a crotchety old man about it. That's all. That's all this is.
See, we talked about this too. Is that like my nephews love Star Wars,
right? And
they love the prequels. They like don't even they love Empire and stuff like that. But like they really think like that Anakin pre-Vader is like really cool, and like they love the Clone Wars, and they love the fucking moron robot with 4 lightsabers and all that shit.
Grievous? Grievous is cool.
What? You want to talk about a character? you want to talk about a character that was made to make a fucking Kenner toy? Then we'll talk about Grievous. It's like, oh, how many lightsabers can we give this fucking jackass? Here's another thing about Grievous. Here's the whole thing about everything, right?
All right. In terms of final points.
The lightsaber was supposed to be this really cool thing. You like built the lightsaber. In between Empire and Return of the Jedi, there's a story. The Shadows of the Empire is the book.
Okay.
You can read in between it, where like Luke has to like build his lightsaber. It's like a big rite of passage, like to become a Jedi, and you have your own lightsaber. Because the blue lightsaber he was using in A New Hope and Empire was given to him by Obi-Wan, so he made the green lightsaber. That's like his master lightsaber. And
which you can also do in Knights of the Old Republic. It was a big deal. Trying to find your crystal, get everything going.
Yeah.
Good game. Go play that.
So now we have this droid who just has 4 of them.
He killed a bunch of the guys.
It's just weird. It's just like it's the same thing with giving Yoda a lightsaber. Why the fuck does Yoda have a lightsaber? Yoda doesn't need a lightsaber. Yoda is supposed to be so powerful, this weird fucking creature, that he's supposed to be able to use the Force. You don't see the Emperor using a lightsaber when he's fucking fighting Luke and Jedi. He doesn't fucking need it.
That's a good point. I never thought
there were supposed to be Jedi that were so powerful that they didn't need that kind of shit, right? They give Yoda a little green lightsaber and he's bouncing around the fucking room like a moron.
That was awesome.
It was the worst.
Awesome.
Greg, that was the worst. That might have been
maybe
the
to you. Like, I mean, they're trudging through this cemetery you loved for so long. I was like, oh man, this little fucking rat that lived in a hole, but somehow, I'm on Dagobah. Let me eat your fucking candy. You're like,
let me eat your candy on Dagobah. That's what you do. Now let me just tell you this. You talk about Boba Fett as being like in Empire, he goes to Bespin, right, in Cloud City. He captures Han Solo,
sure.
right? He works with Darth Vader for the money. He flies away in Slave One, right? He comes back in Return of the Jedi. He's at Jabba's palace. He does battle with Han Solo. He's knocked into the Sarlacc pit, right?
Yeah.
There's an air of mystery around him, right? We talked about this a bit on Podcast Beyond. What does fucking Episode 2 tell us about Boba Fett? This mysterious, amazing Mandalorian. He's supposed to be a warrior. We don't really know much about him. He's got this crazy ship called the Slave. He's like a cool dude, right?
Yeah.
No, Boba Fett's just a fucking clone of his father, who, by the way, are all of the clones. So all of the clones in the clone army are Boba Fett.
Yeah, but not trained or whatever. Boba Fett wasn't trained. Boba Fett didn't have like the Johnny Mnemonic stuff put in his head. He was just a loose cannon clone. What about that Grievous though?
It's like all of these great nuggets of ideas, right? They have this great character, Darth Vader, and starting in A New Hope, right? We see him at the very end when like he kind of has his moment with Luke when he's like dying, right?
Yeah.
They go and they take that little fucking boy, right? Yeah. They change the entire meaning of the Force. Now it's about like something in your blood, as opposed to being like a religious thing. Because the cool thing about the Force was like you kind of assumed it was religious. It's not. It's fucking bullshit science, right? They like ruined that. Then they cast Hayden Christensen as this fucking this great character. This character that almost takes over the galaxy.
I don't like how you said Hayden Christensen. Like you don't like Hayden Christensen.
No, I don't like Hayden Christensen.
You go watch Shattered Glass, everybody, and then tell me you don't like Hayden. I'm gonna lend you that DVD after this.
I just don't understand why it has to be like this. Like why does it have to be like this? This Star Wars was like a self-contained story about the struggle between a small rebel force and an overzealous galactic empire.
Right.
That in the New Hope blows up a fucking planet. right? You know these guys are evil, right? So it's a self-contained thing, and it's like a brother and sister story, a father-son story. Then you got this fucking guy named Jar Jar Binks running around like an asshole in the woods in the first movie. You have Padme, who has a fucking clone of herself or whatever, or a fucking twin. They're changing places all the time. You have this character, Darth Maul, who's actually kind of cool. They kill him in like 2 seconds.
Just like Boba Fett. Everything they did is the shit you used to like. Ewoks, they are Jar Jar. Darth Maul, he is Boba Fett.
What the
he
fuck?
has one cool moment and then he's gone.
No, all right, people shit on the Ewoks. The Ewoks were an ingenious people.
That didn't blink. They're just staring at you with their fucking pebble
The
eyes.
Ewoks were an ingenious race. These motherfuckers managed to take down ATSTs on Endor.
Which was total bullshit. Like, that's the problem. You're, like, letting the prequels off for bullshit, and you're like, oh, well, these guys had fucking sticks. And they're like, hey, Leia, let me eat your candy. That's all they had.
Oh, my God. They were ingenious enough that they couldn't fight with the Empire, so they had to do some guerrilla warfare. I mean, that was like what the Ewoks were. They were guerrilla warriors.
Yeah.
They had their logs that would come together and kind of crunch the cockpit of the ATST. Yeah. They put the logs down so they'd trip over them. They were dealing with the biker scouts on their fucking speeder bikes in Endor. Shit was going down, and of course they were, the Empire was on Endor for nefarious reasons,
Yeah, they're bad.
They have this convoluted story in the prequels about a fucking trade federation and a trade embargo, right? So this is how it all begins. Is with a fucking trade embargo, Greg. That's somehow
some really racist overtones in all the characters too.
I just can't. If you're still into Star Wars, that's cool. More power to you.
Yeah.
That shit's dead to me. I don't give a flying fuck what they do with Star Wars.
Well, all right. I think that about sums up the conversation. Thank you, Benny, for your submission. Portillo, calm down. Ladies and gentlemen, swear to God, you discipline him. Ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of this conversation? What do you think of episode 7? Let us know in the comments. Then make sure you submit your conversation topics there as well. Make sure you tweet at us. Then subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends, and have a conversational day.
9.5 IGN.
Wow. We didn't give it a 9.5.
I know.
We should have. Number 5. Electronic Arts has acquired the license for future Star Wars games from Disney. It's a multi-year exclusive agreement for global development and publishing and should be incredibly lucrative for the company. Disney shows...
I like that that's the end result we got there.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to make a lot of people a lot of money.